A very good evening, everyone. Hope you had been listening to a lot of retail insights today from since morning. And now just to add some more amusement, entertainment, specifically retailtainment to your knowledge bank, we have a esteemed set of panelists and who are experts in their fields. So firstly, would love to understand from our panelists about the retailtainment and what are the key aspects that most of these players are doing in their fields just to engage the consumers, bring in more dwell time, and keep them engaged during their visits. So firstly, would love to understand, Abbas, from your perspective, like we have seen a lot of malls expanding in tier 2, tier 3 cities and from metros now. So how do you see the overall consumer landscape shifting from tier 1 to tier 2, tier 3 cities, and how does retailtainment centers or cinemas, these are contributing to overall malls growth?
We have been one of the early adopters of tier 1, tier 2 cities. I think we opened one of our venue long back in a tier 1 town, and we thought that it's a tier 1 town, we can cascade games from our top venues and not put the new and the latest funds, and it can and that product bomb. The venue didn't do well, and we realized that when we say tier 1, tier 2, it does not necessarily mean that you can give them a cut cornered product and they will accept it, because today's age of social media, everybody knows what's latest, everybody knows what's trending. And then when we started, then we gave a new shot with one of our venue, which is Esplanade Bhubaneswar, and we said, here we'll do everything right. We'll open it as we open a metro city venue like Mumbai. We'll do the investments to that extent, and that venue fired, and it's growing from the last 9 years, year on year, year on year. So coming back to your point, I think that expectations of a guest from a tier 1, tier 2 city is the same. He is as aspirational as any metro city guys are. So if any brand is looking at entering those cities, I don't think so they should enter with the thought process that, a cut cornered product will work there. It will not work, it will bomb. We have enough and more examples, and we have learned from. So it is my experience is that, we should be going with the best product only. It should be reflective of what he will see when he goes to a Delhi or a Mumbai or a Calcutta, and it should not look like, oh, this is a poor cousin and that's the richer one. So that's my summation on expansion in tier 1, tier 2 town. We are very actively pursuing opportunities in tier 1, tier 2. In Madhur is sitting here, we have signed his mall, getting into fit outs. That's Amravati, that's again tier 2 town. So our strategy is very clear. We have identified 55 cities. Any city which is 7 lakh plus population is on our wish list at this point of time.
Sure. So Suneel, from your point of view and your perspective about entertainment contributing to the overall footfall in malls or retail spaces currently. So how do you see entertainment zones adding to overall footfalls and dwell time for malls and for overall retail landscape?
Yeah, I would rather say that it's not just entertainment, but any format that provides you the experience. Any curated experience, either it could be F&B, it could be entertainment, it could be even cinema. That is what is helping improve the dwell time for the customers. Entertainment definitely forms the big category of it. The good part about entertainment is that it's more than a passive entertainment. You actually are actively involved. And in order to further improve the dwell time, I think one thing that we are trying to do is kind of make it competitive. Kind of trying to add activities which basically let people come again and again. So that would further help with increase of dwell time.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll just taking on from what Suneel said. I think the today's generation that's coming to entertainment centers, they are looking at one thing which is very clear, which we have identified is, I would use the word competitive socializing. So they are looking at where 8 of them can play together, compete together, and that's gonna be the future of entertainment to us. And anything which can involve larger group of friends where they can create memories, videos, post it on Instagram, and that stays with them for life. That's, I think, gonna be the future of entertainment down the line. And it could be anything. It could be a game of bowling, it could be VR, it could be trampoline parks, anything that can involve larger groups.
Definitely, in entertainment, after that entertainment, it comes a themes park for families. I mean, if we talk about KidZania, Taran, from your point of view, how do you see, amusement parks and theme parks producing more immersive experience for the today's consumers, for overall families as well? How do you see that consumer behavior shifting, and how KidZania is, increasing its footfall and creating more dwell time?
So when we look at KidZania, so it's a typical, interactive, large format, role-playing format. So there are two lenses here. When we look at parents today understand the value. So they are looking out for entertainment experiences which have a layer of fun. So that, of course, is a tick mark for them. And this helps us with both. When they get their children, they see their children doing edutainment experiences, they are more than happy to spend more time. And of course, this also helps with the willingness to come and keep visiting us again and again. But what we believe the magic sauce is purely immersion. So at KidZania, or for that matter, be it at Play and Learn, so whenever kids are doing the real immersive role plays, they are participating, they are involved in the activity. So imagine if a child is a pilot, she takes that sense of, being a pilot, and then they get into realism. So what I have coined this is what happens typically, it is a model of time compression. That's why we see a lot of parents come and tell us कि मुझे पता ही नहीं चला 5 घंटे कैसे चले गए. So kids don't get a sense of time when they are deeply involved in an activity. So that helps in, getting them to stay for a longer time. So dwell time is then never a problem. And for parents, they see the value, it is education, it is learning. So for them, dwell time is again not a problem. Other thing what we've realized is, with 25 years experience globally and 10, 12 years in India, parents have no problem in spending as long as they see value and they see purpose. So if you can create that with the help of immersive experiences, they are more than happy, to come and visit again and again. So that has never been a problem.
Sure. So from a fitness point of view, Istayak would love to understand from you as well. I mean, it's a different segment that we have seen is not mostly present in malls, most of the malls, but how do you see being it in mixed retail spaces, and how do you manage the dwell time, and how do you increase that and engage the new age consumers specifically?
Hi, good evening everyone. So if you look at the landscape of India yet, you'll see the gyms which are usually on independent buildings and high street. But that's slowly changing in India. If you look at Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and most part of Asia, the gyms are based out of malls. The culture is you go to office, you come to the gym, you work out, you have your dinner, do your groceries, and go back. So that's how it is. So all your gyms go about 12,000 to about 30,000 square feet, and they drive a footfall. Now, the good part about having a gym in a mall is typically if you have a shopper would come once a month to a mall, but a gym goer would go at least 3 times a week to the mall. So when they have a footfall, which is a steady footfall of about 250 to about 600 people coming to the gym, what happens is then your habit changes. You will start engaging with restaurants, you'll start shopping, you start doing groceries. So your overall time, you would typically spend about an hour and a half or 2 at the gym, but in and around you start spending on food, apparels, groceries. That adds in. From a mall perspective, yes, from a gym perspective, you get a lot of footfall being in the gym, but from a mall perspective, it helps better because you're driving a steady footfall of these members on at least thrice a week, if not more.
So any specific strategy that you implement, or is it just the membership model that you follow to engage most of the consumers that you already have, and to repeat for the repeat purchase, repeat footfall also?
See, as a UFC gym, it's known for its classes. We do about 12 to 16 different kind of classes. These are hosted by about 25 odd coaches. Our programming starts from a 5-year-old going up to a 65-year-old. So that's how your workout regime is. And then we have an engagement program every month where we bring these age group in different categories for different events that we host in the gym. We call their family members, friends. So there's a constant engagement that happens. So that's how we bring people in. And usually, being in a mall when you have somebody stepping in, our way of selling is more on experience than on pricing. So we keep hosting these events in the gym, which bring in a lot of people in group to do these group workout classes.
Surely. Madhur, bringing you in here, I mean, from a mall's perspective, mall developers' perspective, especially in metros and tier 2, tier 3 cities, like you operate mostly in tier 3 cities only. So is there a difference in tier 3 cities consumer? Are they acting differently, or anything specific that you need to do for those kind of consumers to build a community and provide that kind of experience so that the footfall increases and the dwell time also increases?
Yes, we do operate in tier 3 cities. And I'll tell you the difference, specifically Amravati is there, and then it's near to Nagpur. It's hardly 150 kilometers. We see a lot of our consumers, if we are not able to, provide the same kind of opportunities and entertainment and food opportunities, they would prefer to travel down to Nagpur and enjoy a day out rather than, looking at a suboptimal opportunity for them. That is the reason when we are in our 4th year of operations, and we decided very clearly that whatever we are going to provide is going to be at par at what is available at Nagpur, Sambhajinagar, Nasik, in that so that the consumer doesn't feel that, what I'm getting in my city is suboptimal. In smaller cities, in tier 3 cities, people come in families. They do not come as a nuclear people or 1%, 2% people. When they come as a family, and if somebody wants to shop as a parent, and then he can actually leave his children in an entertainment center, that entertainment center should be able to provide the child the kind of, entertainment he is looking at. If that is not the case, then he would not want to be there. And that's when the dwell time reduces. So for us, it's very important, not just with entertainment, but also cinema for that matter, that if we are not able to provide the same recliner experience, the same kind of F&B in the cinema, then people would not want. They would prefer to drive down and go for their entertainment somewhere else. So nowadays, shopping is very incidental. You don't necessarily have to go to a mall to shop. You get stuff in 10 minutes these days with Blinkits. So why would somebody would want to come to your mall? So that's very important to understand from a consumer. At the same time, what we have realized in Amravati is that, there are a lot of taluka places around in the city. Our catchment is 1 million people, but there are around 25 lakh more people around, which are in a radius of 100 kilometers. In last 1 year, we've been able to capture their attention and bring them to the mall. Because when they come and they would want to, the first thing people, when they come to mall, their preferences change towards food and entertainment. Fashion comes only later. They are not necessarily going to change their preferences for shopping just because that store is available in the mall. So to drive, increase in the dwell time, you have to ensure that the entertainment is top-notch, the food and services are top-notch, and then only people will come and spend in your mall. So that's the playbook is what we've been able to crack now.
Definitely. Like you mentioned about the families, you have to create the experience for the families to, bring in more footfall and create more engagement within the space that you are present in. So like Taran, you work more in the family entertainment part, and how do you see that one strategy changing the overall landscape and engaging more consumers in KidZania?
So, of course, one is getting the first visit, which comes out of newness. It comes out of course, parents are keen to go and explore a new destination. But the challenge always lies in driving repeat customers. So here we go by various cross-checks. First being refresh your content. So what we do by refreshing content is first is figure out which are the new role plays which can possibly come in. So we believe, introducing at least 4 to 5 new role plays every year. These role plays are a mix of course, what brands want to do with us, and also basis the research which we do with both children and parents. So this gives us new content. At the same time, you can look at your existing content and see how you can play around with it. For example, we have a painting studio. So agar Holi ho raha hai, so accordingly we curate, they make Holi graphics. So kite flying ke time, they were painting kites and taking them home. So content refresh is very important. And second, which of course all the players do here is what I call don't do the typical vanilla discounts. We work on pricing architecture, which is do a nice mix of bundles, do a nice mix of membership programs. It may be annual passes, it may be weekly passes, what he was suggesting. So vanilla discounts will only, take you there to a limited one-time visit. So have these membership programs which are suited to each and every family's choice, depending on whether how far or close they stay from your location. And last, I think it is the overall ecosystem. So when you are planning a role play destination, the ecosystem matters. Now for us, luckily, KidZania, we have more than 100 role plays. So uska 5 ghante dwell time mein activities are not going to get over. So that, of course, gives us the chance to get the repeat visit. But at the same time, we cannot be sure about that fact. So that's why you need to spruce up the activities and give them more reasons to come and visit you again and again.
So overall, you mean you have to be more relevant for the new age consumers and the families to be a part of,
See,
at the amusement park.
one TG you cannot fool is a kid. So even when we design our activities, okay, we go through a detailed process. Of course, all brands do. But at the heart of it, you also know, when we test it with kids, they quickly find out if you're trying to play around or goof it up. So keep your activity very immersive, keep it very true. They get all the fun. And second, like I mentioned, you have to keep refreshing your content. Because if you just stick with the same model, the same experience, you can't expect repeat visits to happen on an automatic mode. So you have to do a mix of content refresh, pricing architecture, new experiences, which will eventually help you build onto that model. And plus, if you have a big ecosystem, they will not finish the visits in one day. If your concept is right, it is bound to get you repeat visits.
Sure. So, Sunil, from your perspective, how important it is to, innovate and refresh, to engage the consumers more with more refresh cycles in keeping, the spaces more relevant for the consumers?
Yeah, I think innovation is true in any business, but when it comes to entertainment, it is super critical. The problem with entertainment is that within the first year itself, your novelty wipes up. And then you have to figure out how to make the repeat customers visit, right? So you have to keep adding new things. Sometimes it comes to the fact that you have to keep introducing new formats altogether. And that's what we have been doing at least. We started with just a trampoline arena, then we added other activities, laser tags, bowling, VR, arcade. Now we are getting into newer formats. So this is absolutely, absolutely important for any industry, but very much for entertainment. Otherwise, you are not in business for a very long time.
Sure. So if you are present in a retail real estate space, so what specific model that you would like to be in? What partnership model that you would like to be in? Is it more revenue share, hybrid, or fixed rental model?
No-brainer question, huh? See, I think time has gone for the fixed model. Even malls don't want that, right? Mostly earlier it used to be that pay me the fixed rental and we are done through it. Now malls also want to be the partners. And it kind of works in both ways. Now we understand that malls have certain challenges with respect to maintenance of the mall and everything. That's something which we are okay paying fixed. But if you come in a revenue share model, that way both mall and the brand become the partners. And both work towards the growth. And I think this model is becoming very prevalent nowadays.
So what's your opinion, Abbas, on this?
Well, I hope there are no developers sitting here. There's one working here. No, so no, that's on a serious note. I think if you see in India there are 100 good quality malls, okay, which can classify as a good mall. Where if I will ask any one of you, you must have visited. There is always a demand supply issue where there are limited spaces in those malls and there are more takers for the spaces. So obviously the developer has an upper hand and they will choose who to give than the operator choosing. So whenever you get into that kind of a situation, you will always end up paying a premium to enter the mall. And that's what all the operators are doing. I was talking to Taran and basically he was echoing the same thing. So what is important, I think, is not whether it's a revenue share. Ideally, I would want a revenue share deal everywhere, but it's not an ideal world, and so we are not going to get it. What is important is the mall should be able to drive foot traffic. If the mall is able to drive foot traffic, then rent is a percentage of revenue. If the revenue is there, you don't mind paying the rent. Our problem starts when the mall says that I will drive X foot traffic, but is unable to drive. But you paid the rent based on a commitment that was made to us. And that's where the trouble starts. So good malls, if they're able to drive foot traffic, irrespective of having 3 or 4 operators, all of them will make money. But if they are not able to drive foot traffic, but they still have 4 or 5 operators, then all of them will start to bleed and exits will happen. So while I would want a revenue share deal, we don't mind paying the rent as long as the malls are able to drive the foot traffic that they are expected to drive. I would have put it that way.
So is this the one limitation that you are saying that limits the success of entertainment zones in malls?
Sorry?
So is this one of the limitations that is there in malls, which is limiting the overall success in malls specifically?
So look, we all are successful. We are 100% in all malls only, and we have been successful. Our strike rate is pretty good. So with time, we have learned which mall to pick and which location in the mall to pick. We have had our own mistakes that we committed in the past. So I would say that we are not shying away. Malls is the success formula for us. We will continue to open in malls only for the foreseeable future till we see that we are self-established. But it will be at a location and a price which we can afford. And we should be able to make money. We don't want to, all of us are putting hard-earned money and all of us have a right to make money on the hard-earned capital that we invest. We are all answerable to our promoters. So we only expect the developer to be a little empathetic when it comes to expectation of rentals and CAM. One thing that you must have noticed is in the last 5 years, fashion anchors are cutting down on spaces and entertainment are taking more spaces. We are in some of the malls, we are as big as the cinema operators, and they are also taking 30,000 square feet. We are also taking 30,000. Suneel will vouch for that. So we expect to be treated on par with them, and not like okay, you pay full CAM, you pay full rent, but there is a subsidy to the multiplex, and then so that's where the problem starts. So I think we just want the developers to be a little more empathetic. We are a very capital-intensive business. Our per square feet investment is more than cinema actually, which not many understand. They think that, it's just a very cakewalk to set up. So that's where we expect the developers' empathy towards us.
Sure. So Madhur, from your point of view, I mean, is this the metric or what kind of metrics that you have to evaluate the success of entertainment zones in malls?
To be upfront, we work specifically on a partnership basis. It has to work hand in hand for both of us. It can never be that, there is one party who's at the advantage and the other party is at a disadvantage. If that is going to be there, then there's not going to be any winner. Because at the end of the day, that the person who's at a disadvantage would actually leave your mall. So we have to be very sure that what we are bringing in now new, is it relevant? And is it what the customers want? And at the same time, I'll give you an example. Abbas is here with us. We had an FEC earlier, which was a 2-level FEC. And the first thing when he visited the mall, he said, I'm okay to come in, give you me a space only on 1 level. And we were like, okay, on the first call itself, I said, okay, I understand what you are saying, and I'm okay to do it. And I actually gave in. And this is how the partnerships work. So as long as you understand where the other person is coming from, you have to be careful in giving into their preferences, but at the same time you have to ensure as a mall, because we are only a lease-only model mall. We are not a starter-sold mall, which most of the North India is. So we have to be also careful about our incomes, stream. And that's where this works. Revenue share is something we love. Is something we would not want to let go, because minimum guarantees will only give you a certain fixed percentage. But if you both work together, then the upside to revenue share is very, very high. And that's where, as malls, everybody now would want to, make money if the, the retailer is also making money. And there is, and in that case, both are happy. So that's the thought behind developers these days. To work in collaboration. So you have to be collaborative is the buzzword.
Definitely, collaboration is how we go further and scale further. So Istayak, from your point of view, just wanted to understand about one success metric that you see in malls and in standalone, fitness centers.
Well, for gyms, mall is an expensive proposition. If you look at per square feet rate, that's why you'll see across India, 99% of the gyms are on standalone buildings on higher floors. And even the gyms in Asia that operates in malls are not the prime retail space. They would be sitting in some corner of the mall, somewhere at the back. Gym as a business cannot afford those kind of retail rentals. So as you said, if we get a revenue share model, there's an ideal way for us to be viable to operate. But I haven't been able to crack a single deal with a mall in all these years where I would get a pure rev share. The best that we were able to crack was an MG and a rev share, starting with a rev share in the first year and slowly mark it up. In our business, our scaling starts slowly. We start in the first year, we build a base, we start personal training, and then we start renewing. So from the first year to second year, the revenue gem is about 40 to 50%. So the first year is where the business actually needs the support. But ideal scenario, a rev share is the best option, but it's not on the table, at least for us as an operator, or we've cracked, so far.
Definitely. So I think great insights from all of you. Just as we are coming close to the end of the session, I have a few rapid fire questions for all of you. Starting from Suneel, would love to understand from you. I mean, firstly, one format that will dominate the next 5 years in malls.
No, I don't think there is going to be one format. Like I said, experience will dominate the malls. It could be F&B, it could be cinema, it could be amusement for that matter. Whosoever provides the experience will win.
Abbas?
I have actually he stole the words away from me, but I think anything which can become where people can come together and celebrate and bond is what is gonna what I see that as a future for malls. At least from an entertainment standpoint, I can see that anything where we can engage a group of friends together or a family together, those are the kind of memories that we see, moments I think that people will come to the mall for, and that's what is going to be the future.
Madhur?
On this Valentine's Day, we did a bhajan jamming event in the mall, and I can't tell you the success it brought, because it brought everybody as a family together. So the kind of experiences which everybody is talking about is what is relevant for the consumer. Digital gamification is something which will come in, it has already come in, and how that is going to evolve is something which I would look in the next 5 years. So curating experiences is something which will be very, very important.
Sure. So is it same for you, Taran?
So I feel participative experiences where consumers can become creators and not just spectators would work in any format.
Istayak, do you have a different opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I hate going to malls, but the only decision is based on the kids. Your younger one wants to go to a game zone, which is the biggest driver for us to go to a mall. The elder one wants to shop. So if I have to step out with my family, you're looking at gaming, shopping, dining. And if you're able to offer that wholesome experience for a family, that works. Also, a lot of curated events. So if you're visiting a mall and you see something new going on in that a small flea market or something like that, that really adds up, because then that you come back with something different. Otherwise, you're going to the same walls and the same stores. It becomes very monotonous. So yeah, different members of the family, different reasons to go there. But if you create a collective reason for the entire family to be there, it really works.
Sure. I think just one last question for all of you. I mean, like Madhur, you are already a mall developer now. So starting from you itself, one mistakes that malls commonly make with entertainment tenants.
You know, you give in to the pressures at some point of time. You know, I gave in to a pressure. I had to convince Abbas for 3 years to come to my mall. So you can imagine for a tier 3 developer, the challenges to bring in international or national brands which are present pan-India. And with social media being so evolved and people in Amravati are able to see what is happening in Bombay, Pune, Delhi, and they want the same experience, to bring that kind of experience is never easy, and it takes time. And to give in and keep that pace up and ensure your mall is also considered as a grade A mall is one big challenge I have, which we have been able to crack now, I can safely say that.
If anyone would want to add to this question's answer.
So with large formats, what I could say with malls, what happens, they still treat these zones as rent per square feet, whereas they should look at us as traffic engines. So because with large formats, what happens, we are not working on impulse visits. We are a destination, so we draw footfalls. These zones get you those kind of numbers. That leads to a higher dwell time. And like he was also sharing, then those families are spending more time in your mall. There is cross-selling, with F&B, they may go and watch a movie. So my submission always with malls have been that don't just look at the rent per square feet figure. Of course, horses for courses, but also look at the traffic engine model, which larger formats bring in.
Thank you so much, panelists, for such sharp insights that you have shared today. That was quite engaging for me and the audience as well. Thank you so much for your time.